let's come to the Ratan Tata era. Seeing the situation in Indian industry, most of the Western experts felt that there is no hope for India, even post-economic liberalization. And I would like to quote here of a Harvard Business School event, a training program, an executive education program which was held in Mumbai, where leading CEOs of most parts of the world had come. And there they had a conversation on the opportunities and challenges before India, and Mr. Ratan Tata was invited to be a speaker. So he made his presentation. He had just taken over as chairman. After that, all the participants, as the Harvard module goes, gave their feedback, and they said Tatas should consider divesting most of their key businesses. The Daewoo Group hasn't succeeded in Korea. The Salim Group hasn't succeeded in Indonesia. We don't see conglomerates like Tata succeeding. And the first thing they suggested that Tata Steel should be divested because it's an inefficient operator in the sunset industry. So Ratan Tata listened to all of them, but he decided to do the contrary and prove all of them wrong. In the subsequent 25 years, Tata's revenue increased 25 times in 25 years, from 24,000 crores to 6,50,000 crores. Not only were the key Tata companies not divested, they were turned around. From being the most expensive manufacturer of steel, Tata Steel became the least expensive or the lowest cost producing manufacturer of steel. So there were some of these changes. The other thing, key learnings in management. For long decades, Tata's was a very individual-centric culture, and that's the case with most family-owned organizations if you reflect on your own respective companies. JRD's charisma led to what Tatas were known for. Tata is JRD, JRD is Tata. Ratan Tata decided that no, Tata should be known for their institution-centric identity. And he focused on transforming that through a code of conduct, through a common brand, through mechanisms which will integrate and synergize the corporations. Because of that endeavor, today the Tata brand, till then Tata brand had some 47 different logos. Today the unified Tata brand and a Tata identity is worth $19.5 billion. Second, he focused on introducing business excellence and innovation as a core mantra for the next quarter century. And third, he focused on going global. Now, why should you go global when the whole world is coming to India? This is what one of the Harvard professors had asked him, and that professor shared it with me during my research. He said, I asked Ratan, why are you going global when all the global companies are coming to India? That's a question people ask even today. What was the need to acquire Chorus? What was the need to acquire JLR? What was the need to acquire Tetley? So on and so forth. At the hindsight 2020 vision, those are valuable questions. But he had a different vision at that time, and I think it holds true even today. He said India will grow at 10%. But the quantum of industries that or businesses that Tatas can explore and exploit will be only 6%. The other 4% are industries where we cannot participate because we'll have to compromise on our value systems, which we will not do. So in order to set off for the business opportunities that we will be missing in India, it is imperative that we have to go global. Today, 67% of Tata's revenues come from outside India. And that happened in just 20 years. Today, Tatas are Great Britain's largest employer. The Colonies company is the largest employer in Great Britain through Tata Steel Chorus, through Tata Motors JLR, and through Tata Tea Tetley. Incidentally, if you recollect the Salt Satyagraha and Gandhiji's Dandi March, the irony is that today Tata's own British salt. So the empire has struck back in many ways, but not the way the colonizers struck us, but in our own way where we don't harm them. In fact, we retain their brands, we continue to provide employment, we continue to bleed but give them their pension funds, and yet establish an Indian way of business which focuses at win-win. Not you at my cost, not me at your cost. How can we both succeed? Tata Motors, it was going to shut down when IndyCar did not succeed. Incidentally, it was developed at the lowest cost development cost in the automobile world. And Ratan Tata and his team, after the initial failure in IndyCar, decided or considered Ford for selling their passenger vehicle business. And they went to Detroit, and this is shared by Mr. Praveen Kadle, who was then the CFO. And Ford didn't behave very well with them, that we are doing a favor to you by buying your automobile business. If you did not know how to run a passenger car vehicle business, why did you start it? So they decided that we are not going to be considered an underdog and being done a favor to. They came back, they re-looked at their business. Indica V2 became the best-selling hatchback, and a decade later, Ford had made losses of $15 billion on JLR, and Chairman Bill Ford told Ratan Tata that the Tatas are doing a favor to Ford by taking over JLR. JLR was taken over, the financial crisis struck, and what Ford could not do of turning around JLR, Tatas did, and the reason for that was that they did not substitute the JLR leadership and the JLR talent base. Instead, Mr. Tata used to go to the JLR shop floor once every month and engage with the young designers, the tech experts and others to find out how they can turn around JLR. You compare that with Ford and the other owners, they had never seen a director on the shop floor. Here the chairman of the company was spending a day on the shop floor interacting with the grassroots workers. So an example of how engaging with your stakeholders can play a key role in turning around. Today JLR no doubt is going through a tough time, but Tata Motors India is going through an upswing. So when I had interviewed Mr. Ratan Tata, he had said that's exactly the reason why we went overseas. That economic cycles are not on the high and on the low in both parts of the world at the same time. And if we are stuck in one part of the world, you are bound to lose. Like they made 500 crore losses in 1997, the largest ever in corporate India, was because they were stuck to one market. Today when JLR does well and Tata Motors India doesn't well, there's a set-off. When Tata Motors India does well and JLR doesn't do well, there is a kind of setup. That was a kind of vision for the global ventures of Tata.